Hi, my name is Shelby Tankersley. For our discussion slash TED Talk assignment that we have due today, we are supposed to be discussing anything in leadership and within sports. So, what I chose today to talk about is actually an article called The Five Kinds of Leaders Every Successful Team Needs to Have. So I think this is super important because not everybody is the same, and everyone's leadership and just their characteristics and everything, they're all going to be completely different. You're not ever going to have a team that has all of the same type of person on it. So I think it's really important to be able to distinguish these different people because it'll end up making your team a lot more successful and a lot more clicking together. So for the first one, this is your performance leader, otherwise known as a competition captain. So these are more primary leaders to where you know that you can depend on them in game day situations and also practice situations. They're always going to have their mind on the grind. They're always going to be wanting to work hard. They always want to perform at their best. And if they don't, then they don't like it. And they're going to tell you that they don't like it. These people will actually take charge in practices, so you might say that they could be basically a miniature coach. However, they are still players. Um, these people are also like highly result orientated, so they want to see the outcome before it's even there. They want to see, you winning games, winning championships. They want to see everybody working together and everything being a unit. And they basically set the entire tone, whether it's the practice, the game, or whatever. Like, that's the person that you heavily rely on to get everybody ready. So the second leader that you need to have is one that's called a locker room leader. This is also known as the culture captain. So this is a type of person that has an all-in mentality, but outside of just the physical and the skill part of the sport. The Arkansas pitching coach, Dave Jorn, had a quote that said, "A lot of your success and failure is going on in your locker room. Your leaders are key for managing it." So I think that's a really great quote because as a player, I knew what conversations were always being held in my locker room. I always knew, if we had a bad practice, we were, going to vent about it, da da da. But we never had, anybody that would just kind of let you go on and just talk complete nonsense about what's happening. This is actually super important because from a coaching standpoint, now that I look at it at a different angle, it is so crucial that there is not any negativity happening in the locker room because that can seriously rub off on everybody. Even if it's one person and they have a bad experience with a coach one day, for instance, say that maybe he or she said something that maybe offended them or made them feel like crap, and then they go into the locker room and they vent about it, and then you have 2, 3, 4, however many people then sitting back and realizing, hey, they definitely have said stuff to me too. I don't like that. Or, and then just keep talking and talking and talking. And then that creates an overall just negative vibe on the team. And so with having a locker room leader, this is the person that needs to be able to step in and is okay with saying, hey, we need to squash it. Like, we don't need to have negative thoughts. We don't need negative comments, conversations. Like, we're a team, we're a family. Like, this can't happen because then it's going to distract you and everybody from the end goal, whether that's winning a conference title, just winning your next game, just having a good practice. Like, that's all super, super important with having a locker room captain. The next one is, these are your social leaders and or your chemistry captains. So your chemistry captain is basically someone that is just trying to make sure that everybody is together all the time. Like, they want to make sure that the cliques, obviously there's going to be clips in sports and especially with sports teams, but this is going to be somebody that is perfectly okay with making sure everybody's engaged with one another, having everybody talk to one another, like doing group activities to where you have to bond outside of just practice, because obviously not everyone is going to, be friends outside of practice. Like, you're going to have your individual groups and the people that you're with more times than not, but this person is going to force a conversation. They're going to force you to hang out with different people that you don't normally do. And that's something that's super important, especially in a team environment, is being able to have more relationships with just, more than one person of who you're typically comfortable. And it's not to say that being comfortable with somebody is wrong, but the more closeness you have with your other team, like teammates, the better the outcome of practicing and the games are going to be. I can even say, when I look at it 3 years ago, when the Reinhardt team first got Coach Brian, it was a lot of different players. You had the divide between the people that were originally there, the OGs, and then you had all these new people coming in. And to be honest, it took a while for us all to finally just click together and say, hey, okay, we can bond over this, and this. And that was an amazing season, and nobody ever expected it. But I think it was because towards the end, it did take a while for us to finally get together. And then I can even say now, looking in from a coach point of view, these girls are actually so much more close than I thought they would be. There's not any drama. Nobody talks ill of one another. No one's like, everyone just gets along, and it's really great. And it's so awesome that our team is so deep in positions, and this is something that Brian says all the time. We're fortunate to have girls that are so good in every single position. And the great thing on top of that is the fact that the girls say we have 6 defensive specialists. It's awesome that we have that many people, because at the end of the day, they're pushing each other in practice, and they're not going to sit and be disappointed if one person isn't performing, they have to go in. They're more than fine with stepping in and saying, hey, I'm okay, you're going to do great, or, vice versa. If they're not having a good day, then, they can tell each other, like, you need to pick this up, and I'm not going to be, like, they're not going to be mad at each other for maybe even taking a position. So that's basically just your social leader or your chemistry captain. The next leader is the organizational leaders and or your campus captains. So this person is basically one that's super involved with the community, super involved with the school. They want to reach out to clubs and organizations, and they want to get the team involved. I think a really great example of this is the first person that always pops to my mind, is Angel Cornista. She is what people say the face of Reinhardt, and she hates that term, but it's honestly true. She was always one that wanted to be involved with everything. She always wanted to go to different sports games, support all other sports, making sure that we're aware of clubs that are going on. She was in Zeta, and she has all these different things under her name, and not only as a leader does that make you super great and like deep in your relationships with other people, but it allows other girls to be like, hey, that sounds interesting, maybe I want to get into that. And then that honestly, in the end, that is going to build you up and become a better person, become a better leader. It's going to get you experience, it's going to get you exposure and all that stuff. So I think that's also super important, is just having somebody that's wanting to get involved and wanting to get her people involved in their team. And then lastly, the last leader are the reserve leaders and or the sub-captains. So I think this is really great, because I think a lot of athletes have sometimes a really hard understanding of their role on the team. You look at these teams and you have obviously your top performers, and they play every single game, and they're awesome, they perform super well, and they come in clutch. They come in clutch moments, and they win a game, or have a great whatever the sport is. It's just that player that they can perform all the time. And then you have these players that are often overlooked, but they practice, they work hard, and they have to realize that they're just as important as the person that is starting. I think a great example is just having practice players. I know that so many people that don't end up playing and they're just there to practice, they're just as important as sometimes as the girl that is starting, because at the end of the day, if you are a practice player and you don't get a lot of court time or what field, whatever it is, you are still pushing to make that other side that is starting generally better. Whatever the case is. For instance, if you are a defensive specialist and you're in the back, but you don't play a lot, you make that person work harder. Make it impossible for them to put a ball down. Like, grind, and just keep going. And it's going to make you feel better, and it's going to make your team feel better, because that's actual competition. That's really great in the gym. Baseball manager Casey Stengel said, "The secret of successful management is keeping the 5 guys that hate you away from the 4 guys who haven't made up their mind." This is a really good quote, I think, because it just shows, like, the level of, how important people are within the team, and how important, like, those 4 guys that hypothetically they don't have their mind made yet. It's going to be crucial if they, who they're around and how they're performing, making them still work hard, because obviously the guys that may not like the coach, they're not going to work as hard. So if that influences those guys, then that's going to be a handful of people that just don't care anymore. So those people are super important, just to keep working hard and just knowing your role and being okay with it. This is also a great sense of pride when it comes to these people, because they need to know, and they need to sometimes even be reassured from the captains or the coaches that they are important and they're used and they're useful. These people are always willing to work really hard, and they don't want to give up. They want to fight, and every single day until they finally get what they want, and hopefully that would be playing time. But even if not, they're still working to make their team better, and they're selfless. So I thought that article was super interesting. I wanted to share that because I think a lot of times as athletes, you can get confused as to what your role is, but I also think it's super important for coaches to pick out those people that they can rely on to be these types of leaders. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed that discussion. I'll link the website down below, so in case you do want to see it, if you're a coach and you want to implement it, then you definitely can.